done this. The servant said unto him, will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn.
So that's that whole laid up in store with the heavens and the earth that we just read in Peter, right? So the tares, we're gonna hear. Let's hear what the parable mean, right? Jump to verse 36.
Verse 36. Then the Messiah sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came to him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, he that sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world.
Keep reading.
The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Read.
Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear.
He who has ears, let him hear, right? So it's letting you know that not only the outcome of the righteous, but the outcome of the unrighteous, or the wicked. And to get even more understanding on that, let's go to back to the Apocrypha. Let's go to Wisdom 2. Start at verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright.
Read it again.
For the ungodly said.
For the ungodly, the unrighteous, the wicked says what?
Reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious.
Reasoning with themselves, but not aright. It's just letting you know, this is not the right thing. They reasoning with themselves. Read it.
Reasoning with themselves, but not right. Our life is short and tedious.
Our life is short.
Life is too
Look,
short.
bro, life is short.
YOLO.
YOLO. Flat out. You only live once. YOLO. Life is short. I mean, people use that term to say, do as much nonsense as you can while you're here, because you only live once. But this letting you know, those people who have that sort of mentality, what they deemed as ungodly, unrighteous, wicked. If your life is short and you only live once, and you only have so long to live it, why don't you do something meaningful with it?
Exactly.
Don't that make more sense?
Like King David said, teach me to number my days that I may apply my heart to wisdom.
Can't argue with that. Go ahead.
For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy.
Nobody can cheat death. Read.
Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as a trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that pass away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed that no man comes again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by.
What y'all think that is? Let no flower of the spring pass us by.
Up, let's go.
No flower of the spring passes by. That's talking about women. Let's get drunk and let's not get it. We on everything moving. You know what I mean? But it's letting you know who these people are. It says that the ungodly reason in their heart. And if you and even thinking about it from this standpoint, if this is your outcome, if once you're gone, you're not going to be ever remembered. Nothing you ever do is going to be remembered. This is not true, because we can look through history, look down through history of our people and all our different patriarchs who are remembered and carried on for thousands of years after their death. You know what I mean? They made the most out of their life and lived according to the laws of the Most High, right? So accordingly, this is not true unless you live that type of lifestyle. Then of course, nobody gonna remember you. Don't nobody remember that cat who used to live on the corner, who did all the, broke in everybody's crib in the hood, and then he died because he broke in the wrong crib. Like you remember, Ray Ray. He did. Oh yeah, but you don't talk. Nobody talk about Ray Ray. Because he was, people was happy to see him go. And truly, I mean, some of these people, you can tell what they're gonna be from the youth. I was just talking a couple days ago about this little kid who used to live across the street from us. And this guy, this kid was the worst kid I ever met in my life. He was about 4 or 5 years old. Wow. He was the worst kid ever. And everybody was like, y'all need to be saving up either bail money or funeral money. This kid is never going to college. Like, you knew from 5 years old, this kid ain't got nothing. He done. And sure enough, done. When he got older, jail. Done. He done. But it's like, you can recognize this type of lifestyle just even from somebody's youth. If nobody take the time to train up somebody, the way that they supposed to be, like the scriptures say, if we don't do what we supposed to do according to the scriptures, even with our children, like, they destined to fail. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. Second Esdras chapter 13. Let's start at verse 1.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13 and verse 1. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that was seen under him.
When he turned and looked at you with his face, everything that was under him shook. Read.
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth fell when it feels the fire.
Everybody that heard his voice burned. Let's see why. Keep reading.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came of the sea. Mm-hmm. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven, and I could not.
Okay, stop right there. Anybody, do this sound familiar? This graven mountain that you didn't see cut out? Daniel? Nobody? Recall? Let's go to Daniel 2:45 real quick. Hold that address. Let's go to Daniel. To see how these visions coincide. And if anybody know the order of these prophets, like Esdras came along right after Daniel. Daniel was in the Babylonian captivity. Esdras came along when the people was coming out of Babylon. Verse 45.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 45. For as much as you saw that stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and gold, the great power has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
Okay, so Nebuchadnezzar had dreamed a dream where he saw this statue, and it had like gold and brass and then clay and iron, right? And he said that there was a mountain graven without hands that nobody saw, that he didn't see where this mountain was cut from, and it came and it smashed this statue. Well, we get the understanding that this statue is all the empires that ruled over the earth, from Egypt to Greece to Rome to Babylon and such and so forth. And so when the Mashiach, which is this kingdom that was graven out of the mountain, when it came through and it smashed all of these other kingdoms, is letting you know that this is going to be the kingdom of kingdoms. That it's going to come through and smash all these other so-called great empires that reign throughout the earth. And that's this same dream that Esdras dreamt in Second Esdras. So let's flip back there and let's go back to. But you can see how they the same thing. It was a mountain that was carved out that no man saw. It didn't see where it came from. Let's start at verse 8, chapter 13, verse 8.
And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet did fight.
So all these people that was gathered, remember he just said it was a multitude that was gathered together that he couldn't number, that to subdue this man that came with the thousands of heaven, which we know is the Mashiach, right? And it said that they came, all the people that came to subdue him was terrified, but they still fought against him. Read.
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
So he didn't have his hand. He didn't lift his hand to fight them back. He didn't have a weapon, or any instrument of war. Let's see what he did. Read.
But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lip a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
Read.
And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was shook.
Right. He said this whole multitude that came to subdue the Mashiach, he said it was an innumerable multitude that after he opened his mouth and this breath that proceeded out by fire and burnt up all these people who he couldn't even number, wasn't nothing left but just smoke and the smell of something that burnt up. To the point where he was terrified just by the vision. Right?
And Esdras is righteous.
Right, exactly. Right. Let's read verse 12.
Verse 12. Afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude.
A peaceable multitude. Jump down to verse 21.
Verse 21. The interpretation of the vision shall I show you, and I will open unto you the thing that you have required.
Verse 29.
Verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. That's that peaceable multitude that's going to be delivered. The same multitude that we read about in Revelations. Guess who they are?
The elect.
The elect. Exactly. See, Terry know what I'm talking about. Jump down to verse 34.
Verse 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as you saw them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
Now this is the interpretation of the vision, right? Read.
But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and built, like as you saw the hill graven without hands.
So that's the mountain, right? Mount Zion, right? Read.
And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law.
So the same way we just saw that he said that he didn't have an instrument of war or anything when he fought against them, but he said he shall destroy them without labor. He did it with his mouth. But what proceeded out of his mouth? Read it.
And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire.
Which is like unto fire. So the same law that we read about, that we're going to be tried by, this is the fire that you're going to be tried by. It's the law. It's the Torah that we read all the time. That's what you're going to be